A warm welcome. Welcome to episode 26 of Powerful.tv Big Fight Weekly with myself, Stuart Palmer, and my cousin and co-host, Chris Hume. How are we doing, Chris?
Good, mate. How are you?
All good. We've got a lot to get through this week, Chris. I think the first topic of the day is this weekend. Big fight between Jake Paul, a man we've spoken about at length for various weeks. And we've got a person who comments every week about the Pauls, loves the Pauls, and he's taking on Tyron Woodley. And a quote from Tyron, Chris, he's saying Paul is going to get hurt in a way you've never imagined. And even Chael Sonnen has chimed in this week as well. He's going for Woodley to win this. How do you see it going, Chris?
Well, personally, I wouldn't go off what Chael Sonnen says, mate, because Chael Sonnen's record when it comes to prediction, he gets it terribly wrong.
Somebody said that below, but yeah, I'm with Chael on this one, but yeah.
I just think he gets it wrong all the time. Regards to Paul and Woodley, it's a hard one for me because I like Woodley and I'm not a big fan of Jake Paul, but I understand what Jake Paul brings to the table and I understand what he is doing and he is making the money. He's putting eyes on boxing, but he's also putting eyes on UFC. The constant war back and forth with Dana White through MMA pay in general in UFC. Because everyone knows how the pay's not great in the UFC for certain fighters unless you're Conor McGregor's. He's bringing a lot of light to that. So it's a lot of eyeballs every time he brings it up. So, he's interested in a different way, as Jake Paul, but he's not my cup of tea. But regards to the fight, I think I've got Jake Paul winning this. I think
okay.
I just think for me it's Tyron Woodley's. Tyron Woodley's got power, and I'm not saying he couldn't stop Jake Paul because he could possibly stop Jake Paul. I just think Jake Paul's more smart, and he's been in training for a fair few years now, and he has had boxing fights. So yes, okay, they haven't been household names or anyone actually involved in boxing. I think other than Deji or Gibb from the UK. But everyone else he's fought aren't really boxers. Tyron Woodley's not really a boxer. He's a 39-year-old, former welterweight champion, which you've got to give him props to for getting the belt and beating Robbie Lawler the way he did. I think he's on the way down, and I just don't think this is like his swan song. I think Paul will beat him. I don't think he'll knock Tyron Woodley out, but I think he'll probably beat Woodley over for points wise for a unanimous decision sort of thing. I don't know. What do you feel?
How many rounds are they doing? Will it go 10 or is it shorter? Will they go 8? You see a lot of 8 rounders, don't you guys, that have come over? I'm not sure on that. It won't be a 12. It won't be a 12 rounder. There's no way. But I just think it's on Sunday night over there as well, isn't it? It's early hours Monday for us.
I've got the route of what I read today is 3:30 in the morning. They'll make their walk to the ring,
and that's showtime in the USA. And then BT Sport have actually picked up as well. But yeah, my head is saying I want Tyron Woodley to blast him. But as you say, he's not been boxing as long as Jake Paul has. We know about the striking, as you said. That's what I believe. I just believe he's got power. But I know a lot of people are saying it's Jake Paul's for the losing.
I think any fighter he fights at the moment is him for the losing, but at the same time, it's for them as well because Paul's he beat Ben Askren, but Ben Askren wasn't really a fight. Let's be honest, Ben Askren's got no striking, and I'm not making excuses for him because he got in there and he did it. You give props to anyone who can get in an octagon or a ring. I just think Tyron Woodley's on his way out. And this is a good payday for Tyron Woodley because Jake Paul, will make a lot of money. And so would Tyron Woodley. I didn't realise it's 17 quid on BT Sports box office to order the fight as well.
Tommy Fury's on the undercard and Danley Dubois as well. So Frank Warren is cashing in on it. So more and more we're seeing these promoters getting involved. With staunch boxing people. It's just they know where the money is, don't they? But could that lead to Tommy Fury and Jake Paul? We've heard all this for months and months now. You've got to believe off the back of this, it's all been set up, isn't it? Ready for that one. And then Daniel Dubois at heavyweight as well. Another outing for him after losing in December. So hopefully he can get on to 2-0 off the back of his loss last December to Joe Joyce. So it'll be a good card. It's in Cleveland, Ohio as well. I was thinking it was going to be Vegas or LA. So when I was reading up on it, they're at Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse.
Yes, Jake Paul's hometown, isn't it? Cleveland,
right,
Ohio,
okay.
So,
right,
so
okay.
I think that.
Yeah.
I'm going to bring in Brett because Brett's already jumped in. Wants to have his comment about the Logan and Jake, actually.
My man Jake Paul is ready. Logan showed up on Raw and helped give them a bump in ratings whilst promoting this fight. If Jake wins, Tommy wins on the undercard. Do you think that's the next fight? Yeah, as I was saying that. Yeah, Brett, I'm with you. I think that'll be win, lose or draw. That'll be the next one. They've been going at each other. They have to make the fight. They have to make the fight, don't they? Because it's what Tommy Fury makes out of it. It's like he's going to make.
It's all on him. It's all on him.
And he's in his infancy. He's not had that many more. He's not had that many more fights. Than Jake Paul. Let's be fair here. He's not had that many fights. Let's say Jake wins. Sorry. Let's say Jake wins, as I expect he will, as Tommy is basically a fabricated boxer who's doing lower level in Love Island. Let's say Jake wins. Do boxing fans have respect, Jake? If he wins, yeah, surely they're going to. Yeah, it's just that he's in his infancy. And, Tommy hasn't had many fights either. But, yeah, they have to, I think, for the purposes of money, the Furies know he's going to make a big payday out of it.
I'm not sure that Tommy Fury versus Jake Paul, if Jake Paul's to beat Woodley on the weekend, will be the next fight for him. Because I don't know if you see him on Twitter. Unfortunately, I get tagged in all sorts of Jake Paul's now. All his comments and stuff. And, a lot of MMA organizations are posting a lot of things he says. He's still calling out, Conor McGregor, the Nick Diaz as well. He's called out. He's still after those big names. I don't know, and I think Brett said this previously that Tommy's not a big enough name. If he's to beat Woodley, and he's just knocked off a former UFC welterweight champion, I think his head's going to go higher.
Yeah. It's fair comment.
I can't, unless, Woodley and Jake Paul have a really close fight, then maybe there's an opportunity there for the Fury and Jake Paul. But, this falls on, Tommy Fury's got to look really good this weekend and win his fight. Just even probably give ear prick the ears of Jake Paul to, take the fight with him. And Steve Monkman, I've seen him before in the chats.
Steve Monkman. Welcome to Big Fight Weekly. The Pauls are a disgrace to boxing. How could boxing allow them a license? And yet I've seen ex-sports players apply for them and they're rejected. Boxing has been made a joke of. They should buy Steve Monkman, you're basically reiterating what I've been saying for months and months on this show. Yeah, it's white. It's people turn into white collar events. Stars, people in. I'm talking celebrities now. We see a lot of white collar, amateur people doing it, and I've got no problem to that. I know people that box white collar events and stuff like that. But it's when these social media people, celebrities go into it. That's my problem. But Steve Monkman's on he's in the same headspace as me with that one, isn't he, Chris?
Yeah, well, you've been calling for this since we started. We started this show, and Brett started, having these conversations with Jake Paul about Jake Paul and Logan Paul. I get where he's coming from, and I get where you're coming from. But unfortunately, in this day and age, and in the way sport's going, it's money, and this is what people are clamming for. You know what I mean?
Cash is king. Yeah, cash is king. If they're gonna throw something into the mix there, and sorry, I've jumped in here, but Brett. It's good having two sides of an argument, for balance. Which we're not arguing, but you know what I mean.
It's a good debate. It's a good debate.
It's good. Yeah. It's good to have it off both sides. That's what we want, don't we, Chris? We want to hear it from both sides.
Yeah.
I jumped in then when you were in
flow. No, it's fine. I'm going to throw some more comments out.
Hey, Ramel from the Philippines. We'll be talking about your boy Manny Pacquiao very soon. We're going to get through the UFC Fight Night. You're up late as per watching us.
Actually. Quick announcement, and I haven't told you this, so I'm springing this on you anyway. Rommel, as you see there in the comments, he's going to be with us live next Tuesday For the Darren Till and Bronson, because obviously the UFC card was supposed to be in London, it's obviously in Vegas, but they're keeping it at our UK time. So I've asked Rom to come on and sort of preview some of the fights.
Nice.
So you'll see Rom next week.
Perfect. He's got a lot of knowledge as Ramel. Lewis Young up in Scotland. Hi, Stu. And Chris Hume. You get the full name there. Yeah, all good. How are you, Lewis? Hope all is well up in Scotland, matey. Regular of the show.
He has asked about what we think about the Pacquiao fight. Lewis, we will get to that as well. We have got that somewhere down the line.
That's item 4. That is True Heel Heat. Hi, fellas, everyone in the chat. The Pauls are taking over boxing. Can't deny they're drunk around the fight world right now. No, you can't. No, to be fair, SP3, you can't. I just do not agree with it. But it's money. It's a money thing, and they are drawing money, and they're getting high-level opponents. And they, as Chris was saying, Nate Diaz's name's in the mix. Conor McGregor's name's in the mix to fight Jake Paul in the future. Logan Paul. They do what they do, but it's just not my cup of tea. It's just
you know what?
Preference. You can't deny it. It's undeniable what they bring to it.
I get you though. I think since we started doing this, and I did all the shows with John when we spoke about, when we broke down Logan Paul versus Floyd Mayweather, and I feel like I've gone down such a massive rabbit hole that these sort of things now intrigue me. Where I'd say, 6 months ago, I would have, told you to F off and said, I don't want to know about all this. I'm a purist. I wouldn't just know about, strictly MMA fights. But I've gone down this rabbit hole with the likes of Logan Paul and Jake Paul, KSI as well, because KSI is still a boxer and KSI is, still the champion of YouTube, I suppose, in boxing. And, and I watched that stupid TikTok versus YouTubers one. I didn't pay for it, but you know what I mean? And like I say, I'm down this rabbit hole now. So I feel like I just have to sort of be in tune and not really enjoy it per se, but just, see it for what it is.
That's it, man. That's it. So, this weekend, we wait with bated breath to see. I just hope Tyron Woodley sparks him out, as Chris says. Can't rule out Jake Paul and his abilities and what he's been doing in the gym for many years. But big fight. It's on Saturday evening for you guys in the US on Showtime. We're getting it early hours on Monday morning here in the UK on BT Sport Box Office. So that's where you can find it. And are we moving on to UFC Fight Night this past weekend? Yes, we are. Jared Cannonier outstrikes Kelvin Gastelum. It was third in the division against the 9th-ranked man in the division. Cannonier improves to 14-5. Kelvin Gastelum now 17-8 with 1 no contest. Chris, a 5-round decision win for Cannonier. 48-47 across the board from the 3 judges. Significant strikes as well. You could see, especially in some of the rounds there, Cannonier was absolutely hammering him. I know they were close in some of the rounds, but Cannonier on the striking, fantastic. Some great kicks as well, Chris. His kicking was very good, wasn't it, on the night as well. Kelvin Gastelum was, he was game though. As he always is. What were your thoughts on the fight?
I agree with the decision, but I think the fight was closer. I don't think Cannonier blew Gastelum out the water. I thought Gastelum gave Cannonier as good as he can get. Don't forget, these two have come away from their last opponents was Robbie Whittaker. Obviously, I think Cannonier did better, but obviously broke his arm, didn't he? And I think, Gastelum had quite a tough time with the striking of Whittaker. But I thought in this fight, Gastelum came game, and he was game in this fight. I think he put a lot of pressure on Cannonier, and I think Cannonier struggled a bit with the pressure. He was getting his shots in, yes, and I'd say Cannonier was very accurate with his straight jabs and his kicks, as you say. Gastelum did try and switch it up and try and take him down. He did, I think it was like the second or third round, the end of one of them. He managed to get Cannonier down, but obviously, the bell went at that point. And you also got to remember, Cannonier dropped Kelvin Gastelum in round 3 as well. When I think it's the only time he sort of went in, but he went in with the right hook, but he caught, Gastelum flush. Gastelum's game, and as I say, he gets hit by some tough guys and some heavy hitters, and he keeps going. Don't forget, Kelvin Gastelum's never been knocked out or never lost by a KO or a TKO by a punch. He's always lost at a decision or a submission. So he's 29 as well. He's still got a lot of time, but I think this has pegged him down a bit now, and he's going to have to look at other fights, lower down in the middleweight ranking. Jared Cannonier now, it's up to what he wants to do. He could wait and see how it plans out with Whittaker and Adesanya. And again, as I said to you last week, I'm not sure if that fight's happening this year. Because obviously the coach of Israel Adesanya has come out and said it isn't Israel's fighting this year. So, he could be waiting into next year. But again, this all props into next week's card. Till versus Bronson. I think, them two, whoever wins that, it's a very viable, fight for Cannonier. If he wants to take it, he might want to step on his, rank 3 now, isn't he? So he want to stick to a spot and maybe wait for the winner. But Till versus Bronson, then the winner versus Cannonier would be really, really good. And maybe the loser faces Kelvin Gastelum. I know, obviously, Darren Till's fought Gastelum and beat him, didn't he, last year at New York in Madison Square Garden. But yeah, it's all heating up. It's all heating up. And we obviously don't forget we've got Vettori versus Paulo Costa as well. That would have been a great fight for Cannonier, but I think they're slated to fight in October, so I don't think it would make a lot of sense. Where Till and Bronson are only around the corner now, aren't they? From last week when
they can get it close too because they've fought so closely. Yeah, absolutely. I think just like it was as you say, it was tight. It was a tight one. But yeah, maybe not to be slated to face Adesanya or Whittaker. I think there is fights, isn't there, with the guys lower down. Maybe for Cannonier, because like you say, they both came off a loss to Whittaker. So yeah, it'd be, as you say, they could maybe get the winner of Till and Brunson. That'd be amazing.
Sense. It does make sense to put them to one of them two against him. I always got to give props to Kelvin Gastelum. He's had a lot of fights this year so far. He's jumped in fights he shouldn't be a part of. Mm-hmm. I'm impressed with him. He's small for middleweight, but he couldn't make the weight at 170, could he? That's obviously why he's up at 185.
It was killing him, man. You think he was trying to make 170 at the time. He's quite big in the midsection. You can see that he carries weight there, doesn't he? Not saying he's fat by any stretch. But he's got weight. He's got weight. Right? You look at Cannonier. He's got the natural. He's got the build, doesn't he? He's very muscular. But yeah, how he was. We've said this about fighters before. Fighters having to cut for weight. Till was the same.
Well, we're talking about weight cuts, mate. Cannonier's fought heavyweight and light heavyweight.
Where did he fight? Which promotions was he at?
He was in UFC for all 3 weight classes. Yeah.
How the hell?
So you know what I mean? You got to give him props. Like he's come from heavyweight, and think heavyweight. See your 240, 250, and he's cut all the way down to 185. I'm not saying he was. I think he was probably about 230. But that's a big cut as well. Gastelum, don't forget, was the last pick and Ultimate Fighter the year he won it, and wasn't and he fought Uriah Hall. Yeah, I like Gastelum. I still think he's he's still got time. He's 29. He's still got he's still to reach his peak. He just needs to probably put more on the gas and put more of that pressure on. Not go strike for people and use his takedown because he's a good wrestler as well.
It's mad to think how long he's been around. So I remember him in the Ultimate Fighter. I remember him coming through there. He was very young, wasn't he? I should say plenty more. There's plenty of years ahead of him. Do we want to move on to the co-main from the weekend with one of my favorite fighters of all time, Clay Guida, who's in the Hall of Fame in the UFC for his fight with Diego Sanchez. But Marco Madsen from Denmark, he was a Greco-Roman wrestler at the Rio Olympics. He got a silver medal. Not much of his grappling was on show, though, was it, Chris? He wanted to strike with Clay. We know Clay Guida's been a fantastic striker over the years. Also, he won the bout, and he said about his missus obviously having MS. So he's obviously said the fight, his win was for his wife. So, he's got all that going on, and he's managed to get in the cage. So I tip my hat to Madsen.
Yeah, well, of course, we're both a family, so, it does bring a lot of pressure, doesn't it? Especially when one of them's not well. The fight itself, I wasn't expecting it to stay standing. I did think Madsen might be able to take, Guida down, but he did struggle to take him down. He did look him up, in the Muay Thai clinch and try and put him against the fence and use that Greco-Roman wrestling, to be like Randy Couture could do his dirty box and take him down and beat him up that way. But to be fair, Clay Guida was smart and got out of it. Every time Madsen tried to, put him up against the fence. The problem was, I think the straight jab was really confusing Guida. I don't think Guida really expected him to have, not I would say he's got great striking, but the better striking than I think he expected him to have. But like I said, that straight jab was stopping Clay Guida from getting inside. He did drop Madsen in the first round with an uppercut. It was really nice when he caved in.
Beautifully landed.
But it was one of the rare times in the whole fight that Clay Guida really got inside, because every time he tried to get inside, that straight jab from Marco Madsen was just straight on point. You know, he busted Clay Guida's nose. Clay Guida was the thing with it was frustrating with Clay Guida is he bounced around, and he was just winging shots in the whole fight. Where Marco Madsen was, obviously not a technical striker, but he was more with the accuracy of his strike, and he was just popping it in, and obviously frustrated Clay Guida because Clay Guida couldn't get off anything. From the second and third round, you can see Marco Madsen took control of the fight, and Clay Guida, like I said, he was moving back and forwards, doing the whole Clay Guida thing. But Clay Guida, we know, puts a lot of pressure on the fighter. Breaks their will, takes them down. Obviously, he didn't think he was ever going to take Marco Madsen down. But yeah, he struggled in this fight. But solid for Marco Madsen. That's a nay now on his record. 11-0.
Called out Gregor Gillespie, who's known for his wrestling as well. That's someone he wants, which would be good. We're going to see it, aren't we? We're going to see that, the wrestling, we'll hopefully see another side to him. 11-0 now, Chris. Clay, 36-18. But it was a split, 29-28, and then, on each side from two judges. Then 30-27 from the other judge. Do you think that was too wide? Do you think that did a disservice to Clay? Or could you see where the judge was with that scoring? So, being the more wider.
I tell you, it was a close fight because, there wasn't any crazy moments, was there? It was quite technical. Like I say, Clay Guida tried to get inside, and Marco Madsen tried to use his Greco-Roman wrestling, but obviously used his straight jab to push, Clay Guida from getting inside. Yeah, I think it's probably fair. I don't think Clay got off enough. Like I said, if you watch the fight, Clay Guida was winging everything. It wasn't really connecting. Where I could say Marco Madsen was with that straight jab, was straight in his face, and hit it more or less every time. So Clay Guida, he'll still be around. Clay Guida is still a name for people that are coming up.
I bet he's pulled in some money when you think how long he's been with the UFC now. He likes fishing though. He likes fishing though as well, because I always see on his Instagram when he goes live. He's on the boat with his family and friends having a fish. So there you go. That's what he's up to. But yeah, Marco Madsen improves to 11-0, as Chris said. A big name now on his record. And are we going to go? We're going to have a little break now before we head to Yordenis Ugás beating Manny Pacquiao on the weekend. Oh, sorry. He's got some comments for us. Frankie Cruz Jr. from New York. My brother, what's going on? My brother, sorry, what's going on? Chris, I'm loving that shirt, brother. Cobra Kai never dies. There you go.
It does not.
There you go. Yeah, good to hear from you, Frankie. Nice to hear from you, man.
I shall put an advert on now, mate. It's just,
lovely.
Have to find these things these days, don't I? Right, okay. I'll put it on now.
This is Liam McGarry, and welcome to the Big Fight Weekly.
A warm welcome to Powered4.tv Big Fight Weekly, episode 19. And have we got a special guest for you?
My first ever MMA fight I ever watched was the first ever Tito and Liddell fight, and then I fell in love then, and I was sold for life.
I think I watched the same one.
Oh, there you go, then. See, it was a great fight. You beat Tito, and you were the first person to submit him. And when I saw that, you being an English guy, and yes, I am biased when it comes to UK fighters. I'm not going to lie, that's the way I am. But when you beat him, and you beat him by submission, mate, I could have punched a hole in the wall with, loved it.
Yeah. No, I was buzzing with that one. And I kind of knew I knew what he was going to try and do. Stopped. I was delivering TVs for this company, Fortuna. And it was crap, you know what I mean? But at least I wasn't so tired, so I could finish work quickly and then go to the gym, train for about 5-6 hours, and then go home, You don't, you've got plenty of other fighters to look after. I'll go find someone who's my own size. No, wait, give me 5 minutes, right? He comes back out of the office, he's like, I've got your contract with Bellator. I was like, so that is all I had to do, just basically threat to leave the gym, and you get me a contract for that. Sound.
Did the UK press not contact you when you won? Did you not get any of that at all?
He hit me in the side of the face. Well, it was this side, so he hit me in the side of the face of the jaw, right? So I kind of just turned my head and put my face on the side of the mat, right? He reached round, and as he reached round, he grabbed my face, and that was the one where I was like, it felt like electric shock shot up to my brain and all the way down my body. I was like, nah, get off me, please. I was like, enough. He's like, what? I said, dude, you broke my jaw. He's like, I fucking knew you weren't going to tap from that. People are like, you tap from a punch. I was like, mate, you get the fuck in here and break your jaw and then continue fighting and tell me when you're going to tap.
We're all as fans, we're all full of it, aren't we? But until you get in there, listening to know what you've been through, like different. Everyone's an expert.
Right, keep going. When you've got that little voice in your head that says, oh, no, you can't, stop, keep going, push past it, break past it, don't listen to that, don't listen to anybody else, just keep pushing on. You're never going to make your... Watch me.
It was great having former Bellator light heavyweight champion Lee McGeary on the show, Chris. I know he's recently had surgery again from from breaking his jaw, a few years ago now. And we've been in contact with him. We've wished him well, haven't we, Chris?
Yeah, he's been released by Bellator recently, and he did him a bit dirty there because obviously, he's got medical bills to pay in Hawaii. It's not like it is in the UK with, if we broke a jaw, you have NHS and you don't have to pay for it. He's been cut from Bellator, so obviously he's going to have to fork up all that, as well as, he's got his own gym, hasn't he, over there?
Absolutely. He's trying to get that rocking and roll in the gym. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see, like, when once he's training people. But we wish a speedy recovery to Lee McGeary, don't we, Chris?
Definitely, mate. Yeah, definitely. And hopefully we'll get him back on in a few months' time once he's, he's sorted. We don't want to rush him now because obviously just had his surgery on his jaw, but we'll get him back on and then he can give us an update and see where he's going next.
Absolutely. Now, I'm sure, there we go. We'll have Ramel. I'm sure Ramel will comment on this because Manny Pacquiao is beaten by Yordenis Ugás for the WBA welterweight title, a title that Pacquiao was stripped of and Ugás won subsequently. That was Pacquiao's first fight in 2 years. And let's not forget, he's an 8-weight world champion and he's won 12 world titles in that time. A lot of people now, Chris, calling for Manny Pacquiao to call it a day. But it's people, it's fans, isn't it? He knows if he can still go, even at the age of 42. A lot of people are calling for him to retire. I don't. It's up to him, isn't it? Let him make the decision. Ugás did look good. Ugás did look stronger. But what do you think with all this retirement call and talk?
I think it's hard for a professional athlete, no matter what sport you're in, to be the king of a division, or and to get to a point where he's 42, so he's not going to have the same speed. He's not going to have the same power. Well, I suppose actually power doesn't really go, does it? It's the speed, isn't it? And your footwork and stuff like that sort of start to dwindle as you get older. I think for him, it's like he could go out now, or maybe he could fight one of the Logan Paul, or maybe a Paul brother. If he wanted some cash and he wanted one of those sort of fights, that's around, isn't it? I think he'd blow sort of them two out the water, mind you. Even at his age, he's still, talented boxer. It's hard to see, isn't it? I remember seeing this with Anderson Silva after his leg break, and when you see with the mighty fall, it's difficult to sort of comprehend because you have love for them and you love watching them fight. So to see them sort of coming down and not being as agile as they once were, not having that sort of flair. It's hard to see. I mean, for him, it's like he retires on his terms, though. I wouldn't want people in his ear saying, "Oh, you should retire now." It should go out on his terms. So if he wants to never fight to say goodbye, and then that's it, then maybe he should, just obviously do it on his terms, though. But Ugás was very good, mate. If I'm honest,
he was good on the counter. Ugás, he wasn't. I'm saying off the back of that, and he was bigger. You could see he's bigger physically. You can never rule Manny Pacquiao out. He's had some fantastic victories, but. That's 72 fights in his career now. And,
a lot of fights.
He does all the political side in the Philippines, which I know he's done that for years and he's balanced the two. And he's fought everyone. I know, obviously, Errol Spence was meant to be the man to face him. But obviously, as you said last week, his eye It was dodginess with the eye, wasn't it? They couldn't make it. Ugás has called him out now, but then Terence Crawford is coming and said, "Well, I want to fight you, Errol." Which I think that would be the fight to make. But Ugás's name has to be in the hat now. For one of them two, it's a huge victory.
100%. But the thing is with that, Stuart, Errol Spence's injury is going to be longer than 6-7 months to recovery. Do you mean as I explained to you last week on our show, and we do apologise for last week's show. It's just one of those. The internet was not working. Stuart was actually at work doing the show as well. He's pulling double duty.
You held it well, mate. I tell you, because I was gone more than I was on last week.
Yeah,
so,
I did okay. I did okay.
Don't be like that. No, you did.
I'm no good at just chatting to the camera and just going off and guff like. But that injury is bad for Errol Spence, mate. And I explained about it last week. Michael Bisping had it, didn't he? But Michael Bisping rushed back and lost his eye. Literally, you've seen it. He's lost his eye. So Errol Spence, that could be 12, 18 months layoff. That
He's had awful luck, Errol Spence, who's in the car crash. It must have been like 18 months, 2 years ago. Now this, it's took fights away that we could have had, a lot sooner. And, hopefully he's all right when he comes back from this, Chris.
Well, yeah, because he's going to have to be tested for it. I don't know if he'll get away with it like Michael Bisping did. You know what I mean? How Michael Bisping got away with it with one eye. It's incredible.
Carry on, sorry. I'd even say to you guys and the team, I'd just say maybe go for Terence Crawford and get that signed and sealed, because they don't know how long it's going to be, do they?
Well, it makes a lot of sense. To put Ugás and what was the other guy you said, Stuart? Terence Crawford, isn't it?
Terence Bed Crawford, yeah.
Yeah, put them two together because it makes more sense. Just have you could always push that fight to them two and then see where Errol Spence lives then, isn't it? After his surgery and everything like that. But yeah, it makes more sense to put them two together now and give Spence the time to sort of recover. Rom's put another comment in here for us, Stu.
When we heard the news that it was a 2-week replacement from Spence to Ugás, me and brother talked about it. We thought it was a dangerous fight for Manny and he might get Ledwaba effect. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. You know him more than most. You live in the country, and he's done so. Look how big he is worldwide, and he's been with Freddie Roach for years at the Wildcard Gym, hasn't he, as well? But yeah, I'm sure like Ramel, is it time? Is it time for him to call time on it, or do you see? Does Ramel see some fights?
I have something.
Go
on,
then.
Maybe, right? Because Conor was meant to fight Manny Pacquiao, wasn't he? After the second fight with Dustin Poirier. Maybe now they've come off 2 losses. It makes sense then maybe to put them together.
That's good.
Because that could be
viable.
It could make sense, for Pacquiao to be that's his last fight. And he's going to make a shit ton of money out of, fighting Conor McGregor. They've both got the same management team, haven't they, as well? So, yeah, you could see that sort of, filtering through. It depends on Conor McGregor and, how much shit he's going to carry on talking to people on the internet, to be honest with you. But that could be a good viable fight for Pacquiao, and it could be a good swan song for him as well.
Absolutely. A fantastic win for Yordenis. Ugás retains his WBA welterweight title. And we'll be interested to see in the coming months what happens with Manny. And have we got any more comments, Chris, before we move on to Tito Ortiz and Anderson Silva, who will be boxing on September the 11th?
Nope, that Roms was the last one, my friend.
Lovely. Thank you very much. So yes.
Oh, hold on.
It makes sense for real. Right, okay.
But it does. He's obviously, Roms were alluding to what I said about Conor McGregor.
Yeah.
I think it makes a lot of sense. And I think, it gets eyes on it. And if it's going to be Manny Pacquiao's last fight, he'd get a lot of eyes. And it'd be good for him for that. I think it'd be a good fight, for Manny Pacquiao.
September the 11th. So there you can see in the graphic, a 195-pound boxing match. So, obviously, we remember... I'm just trying to... Oh, yeah, it's all right. Remember Anderson Silva at 185. Obviously, Tito at 205. So they're going to do a 195-pound boxing match. Chris, I think Anderson Silva after beating Chavez Jr. so well in the 8-rounder a few months ago. I think it's his to lose. How do you feel about it? Do you think Tito can get at him?
Well, I have to give. No, I don't think he will. I have to give props because Rom tagged me and you in it, didn't he? The other week.
Yeah, he did.
All I thought, I read it was all Logan Paul versus Anderson Silva, and that was going to be the fight. Obviously, something I don't know what's happened there. Obviously, they've changed it to Tito. It's such a mismatch. Tito at 205 in his heyday was the ground and pound master, wasn't he? He'd take you down and he'd just, beat you into a pulp on the floor, and that's how he won his fights. You didn't see, Tito beating people and knocking people out on the, in the stand-up game. That was Anderson Silva's forte. Anderson Silva, looked fantastic against Chavez, didn't he? And he did really well. So I'm really surprised he's taking a fight against Tito. I thought maybe he could have fought another boxer because he looked so good, fighting a natural boxer. I thought he looked really good. I said Tito, I've heard him bitch that Anderson Silva's made him cut weight to 195. You know what I mean? It's like, shut up, just fight now. You know what I mean? You've agreed to fight, and he's saying that Anderson Silva's making him cut weight so he can beat him. This is his words now, yeah.
It's a 10-pound differential for both fighters, though. So it's like, yeah, he's got to put the weight on. Tito can drop 10 pounds. It's just like, what's he moaning about? I think that's fair. That's a fair, weight for the two. It's middle ground.
Yeah, but he's starting excuses, isn't he?
Yeah.
Oh, well, it was 195.
Well, it's he knows what it's set to, and it's not as if he's been asked to cut to he could have said, well, we'll do 185, 180, something like that. Ramel Penseals, why is this match even booked? This Tito versus Silva, it doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense because, thank you for tagging us in it, Ron, because it gave me a head scratcher because I just don't understand, fights sort of make sense. I'm not to say put the Jake Pauls and Logan Pauls out the picture, but Anderson Silva's moved on to boxing now, and I've never seen Tito in a boxing fight in my life, let alone in a stand-up war. Because if he had a stand-up war, it was against Chuck Liddell, and Chuck Liddell destroyed him on the on the stand-up. And I forget the third fight because that really never happened. I just don't get it. And this is Anderson Silva. I think he'll toy with Tito. He'll play with him. He'll go like he did against Chavez and like he's done to other people in UFC. He'll go against the side of the ring or at the turnbuckle and he'll egg him on. And I think he'll just absolutely destroy Tito. Tito's got nothing. I think Tito's got worse stand-up pretty much as Ben Askren. This is Anderson Silva's. And he'll walk through Tito, take his check and walk home because this just doesn't make any sense. I just thought Anderson Silva would have got another proper boxer. I'd even more enjoy Logan Paul versus Anderson Silva than Tito Ortiz versus Anderson Silva. Maybe in the UFC, this fight would have been an actual viable fight, but in a boxing ring, no, stupid. Maybe Chuck Liddell can be the ref as well. Then while we're at it,
throw him back in there. Get him back in reffing. Lewis Young did see Anderson's kick in his kickboxing match.
Anderson's sons had a kickboxing match the other week and looked really, really good. But I'm not surprised because his dad was the master. So, and he's had all that training for so many years under Anderson Silva and in the gyms with Nogueira brothers as well. His son looked really good. So there's a prospect there if he wants to stay in kickboxing or move into MMA.
We'll move on to the fighter brain like his.
Oh yeah, 100%. We'll move on because
UFC Fight Night. Are we going to UFC Fight Night, Chris? Yes, we are. Big fight this, Chris, on paper. Again, Chikadze, the Georgian, at featherweight 145 against Barboza, the best kicker in MMA as coined by Joe Rogan, and the record for most fight the night bonuses and tied for the most KOs in lightweight history was Barboza. Chris Chikadze, though, on the flip side of this, 8-5 win streak and 4 finishes with a liver kick KO of Cub Swanson as well.
In his last fight, it's an interesting fight because, Chikadze and Barboza aren't going to take this to the ground. Well, I say this, and every time I say this, they bloody go to the ground, don't they? I can't see Edson Barboza and Chikadze going to the ground in this fight. There's an interesting fight. I didn't realise that Barboza, being a smaller guy, has got the bigger reach as well, which works in his favour as well because Chikadze's have to get inside Barboza. When Barboza, as you say, he's got those ferocious football kicks, because they are like a football kick. You know, it's an esque of Jose Aldo back in the day. That, you know, it's like having a sledgehammer as a foot in it and just smashing it into his calf, smashing into his thigh. Barboza's fantastic. He looked great against Shane Burgos, in this last fight with that really weird sort of straight jab that knocked him out. And Shane Burgos was known for having a granite chin as well. So, you know, Barboza's looked really good recently. Chikadze as well has looked really good. You know, he's fantastic with his body kicks. He's very good, you know, with his straight jabs. He's very outpoints fighters, but he goes from the outside. So he picks and takes his time to sort of strike, where I think that works for Barboza, because Barboza can just ram in that leg kick, you know, and get him moving, you know. And I just think it'll be an interesting fight. I just think, like, Barboza is just a machinist. The only thing I think with Barboza that worries me is his cardio. You say you look in the 4th and 5th round of most of his fights when he has 5-round fights, seems to lose a lot of steam towards those sort of rounds. Where Chikadze at the moment, I've not seen him have any issues with his cardio. So, you know what I mean? This could go either way if you look at it in the cardio sense. I think, my mind, I think Barboza is going to probably say unanimous decision. I think maybe Chikadze might win 1 or 2 rounds, but I think Barboza overall will win this. But it'll be a tough fight. I don't know if you've seen Barboza, and I did say to you this before we went live, that Barboza, the fight week this week, looks ripped. He looks in absolutely brilliant condition. And he's a dangerous guy in that division. He really is a dangerous guy. I mean, and he's fought some of the best. And he's had lots of wars, you know, in the lightweight division. So this is going to be a really good one.
Absolutely. So, yes, I'm on the subject of betting at the moment. I've seen on Betfair, one of the betting organisations over here, both are 10-11. So they can't be split at the moment. You know, the betting's quite level. I know, obviously, a lot more bets will come in as we get closer to Saturday, Sunday. And, Barboza now 22-9. Chikadze 13-2. Perfectly poised, Chris, this main event.
Yeah, well, like I said to you before, they're both, I think, at rank 8th and rank 9th as well. So if they're in the top 10. There's a lot of fighters in that division who haven't fought for a while, or haven't fought anyone big enough, you know, to sustain their rankings. You know, I was looking at today, Kelvin hasn't fought in a very long time. So, I mean, you can see one of these could sort of push these people out the rankings. Yeah, we do have our own British guy, Arnold Allen, who's ranked 5th. You know, one of these guys could be the next fight for him, which would be excellent test for Arnold Allen, because, you mean, he needs these tests if he wants these title shots. It's an interesting fight. We have got Kevin Lee on the card as well. Kevin Lee's been spouting stuff because Ariel Helwani's come back now at the MMA Hour. If you don't know, if you watch Helwani, but he's gone back to He has gone back to doing that now. And then Kevin Lee was on his show talking about his fights, this fight this weekend. And again, another person complaining about Khabib, saying Khabib didn't fight anyone and he never fought a true wrestler, you know, such and such. Usual sort of crap people spout because he's not in you know, an active fighter anymore. It annoys me. It's like Kevin Lee was never in that elite level. But that's it. That's all I have for you.
There we go. So yes, no more comments before we go, Chris. Anyone?
No,
anything
else? That's it.
That's okay. Let's go. We've got plenty of comments today, and yeah, as you say, we look forward to the weekend. So yeah, we got Tyron Woodley versus Jake Paul, and we're going to see Tommy Fury and Daniel Dubois on the undercard of that. So you can get that on Showtime and BT Box Office here in the UK, which is early hours on Monday morning for us, and it's Sunday night over there in the US. And obviously, as we've just spoken about there, UFC Fight Night, Barboza versus Chikadze. And we've also got some fights from the Ultimate Fighter, haven't we, on the undercard?
I was going to comment, but I watched the first 3 episodes of Ultimate Fighter, mate. Couldn't get into it. Thought it was absolutely cack. It's not the same. And I wish all the people who fought on the Ultimate Fighter, who fighting in the finals, and all the ones who've got on the cards to try and get a contract, UFC, good luck. I just thought the show just needs to go away now. And it's
what was it? Is it just being done to death? Is that what you think, or it needs formatting differently?
Actually, they've changed the format how many times? It's not the same, and I think that the coaches weren't great. You know, Volkanovski and Brian Ortega haven't got that personality like a Rampage and a Rashad Evans season. You know, Michael Bisping against whoever coaches against him. You know, it's all fake and nicey, and then they all give each other shit behind their backs. But You need some coaches that hate each other, that people sort of invest themselves. And the fighters were boring. They weren't really. There was not much of a personality between them, to be honest with you. There was some good fighters there from what I watched. But like I say, I got into the third episode and I wasn't feeling it. It's just not the same for me anymore. And
do you think with them doing like the Contender series and stuff like that, do you think times have changed? Or
possibly, and I think well, a lot of good fighters are going into the Dana's Contender series. I don't think Chikadze came from Dana White's Contender series, so it's one of them. All my fighters been great over the years. I just think like a lot of shows, they've had their time, and put it to bed now. Leave it on Fight Pass for people to watch old series, and that's it, really.
Look at the length of time, They did the first one in 2005, which, made shockwaves in the industry. So, it has had a long shelf life. We know what TV stuff comes and goes, doesn't it? Maybe in years to come, they could make it, boost it again and it could come again. But yeah, I can see what you're saying there. Chris, where can the viewers find you? What's coming up? What's happening with yourself?
At the moment, I think it's very quiet. So you can. I've been doing Big Fight Weekly reviews, Stuart. I'm just watching the football. I'm happy to have the football back every weekend, mate. And we're doing all right. So it's no doom and gloom yet, but I can imagine the black hole will be
last night. Just going on to the topic of football, I was Moise Keane sent off, and the other guy wasn't sent off. It's like he
pushed him. No, you can't
like it. Bad.
Yeah, I know. But you watch Sky Sports and they're like, he headbutted the guy. Silver Thomas. That Silver Thomas was being dirty with Moise Keane for
give them both a yellow. Give them both a yellow for that. We were on the back foot there at 10 men, but then he managed to, they got
good substitutions from Rafa.
And he's got people. He got people in that we haven't seen. Obviously, with the League Cup, that's what he will do, won't he? So it's good to see some of the guys getting a chance.
Gabamin had 90 minutes for the first time in over 700 days. He wasn't fantastic, but he's learning. He's got to get himself back into the fitness.
Lengthy injuries, Chris. Injuries. But we'll give him a bit of time, won't we?
I thought the goals were stupid. Like I thought that their corner made no sense to why that was called off. And Moise Keane's goal to put his 2-0 up. How was that offside?
It was on. I know. Crazy.
Baffling. But you know what? We've got the window a week today, so hopefully we can get some players in. We can shift some players out, and Rafa can have a decent squad. So we're not running around with the cack-up we have now. Like good
game with Leeds last weekend as well. I don't want to make it too much about football.
No, I know that, but we should have won that. Calvert-Lewin had two good chances.
How Melier got it, underneath him. I thought that's going in. But a good game, and we played counter, but we created more chances than them with less.
A lot of teams going to Ellen Road this year, especially with their fans being back, they're going to struggle. They were ruthless
because they've been waiting to get into that ground, haven't they? So and they pulled 34,000 against Crewe last night at Ellen Road, which is a good. The big fans. But yeah, where in terms of social media for you, Chris, just for the viewers to find you?
No problem. You can find me on Instagram at VanHume86. You can find me on Twitter at VanHume. And you can find me at the bottom of this screen here that's going back and forwards. You can find me on Facebook at Powered for Big Fight Weekly. You can find me there. Post a comment, if you've got any information or you want to talk about stuff that we haven't talked about on the show, just post it in Facebook when we can, me and Stuart will get back to you and we can have a good conversation.
Old and new, old stuff, current stuff, fighters that you like, matches, just personalities within boxing, MMA, combat sports.
Or stuff you don't agree with. If you don't,
if
you don't agree with what we say and you think what you think about a fighter and we've got it wrong, posting it, there's no harm in it. Just say what you want to say, innit?
Interactivity, with the viewers is paramount for us. So just anything you'd like to ask or you'd like to speak about, as Chris says, definitely. And I have been Stuart Palmer, and you can find me on Stewie P1. You can find it at Stu's Wrestling Podcast across Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. New episode with multiple-time NWA champion across different divisions. Someone pulled me up on that, saying he never won the NWA heavyweight title, but they got it. They got their information on there. I was like, no, what I meant was he was a six-man tag team champion. NWA TV champion, US champion. That's what I could see what he thought I meant, so I just cleared it. But yeah, also 2-time Hall of Famer Nikita Koloff, the Russian Nightmare, who is now, he's got a ministry, like a church ministry over in the US. Does some stuff with Lex Luger as well. He does Man Up. They do like man camps for men as well. So he does that with Lex, and a fantastic career. Went out of wrestling on his own terms as well, Chris, because he started in 84 and he left the business in 92. And then obviously, he found Christ and all that. So real good story. And that should be dropping this weekend. This weekend that'll be dropping. So that's episode 94 of that. And we'll be back next Tuesday, won't we, Chris? At a more later time, which we'll post out, and we will have Ramel with us, friend of the show.
Yes. Ramel will be with us.
That. Ramel will be in attendance with us on that to go through everything in the combat sports world. We have been powered4.tv, Big Fight Weekly, myself, Stuart Palmer, and Chris Hume, and we'll see you next week for episode 27.
See you next week.